It's time for the crap company of the week. I can't stand it. Hello and welcome to Trucking Answers. I'm Mark and it's back this week. Who's going to argue with this one? The crap company of the week this week is Falcon Transport and Counterpoint Capital Partners. They own Falcon Transport. Did you know that? It is true. If you've been under a rock, you don't know that last week, Falcon Transport last weekend just simply closed its doors. They just locked up, told drivers, hey, you know what? We're not in business anymore. Dispatchers, everybody got sent home and said, hey, tough luck. Drivers were stranded just like Arrow around the country. Fortunately, there were about 100 drivers stranded around the country. That's what it looked like. I couldn't find any here. And I also want to give a shout out right now to ShipX, who was one of the companies that stepped up and said, look, if their Falcon drivers stranded, they will go ahead and pay for their transportation and pay for food for them with no obligation. So they get a good shout out for that. And I love the place, ShipX. So thank you for that, ShipX. We really appreciate that. It's the way to stand up for drivers. Let's get back to Falcon. So in the weeks leading up to this, there were a lot of things that people knew about. And at the end of this, we're going to go over what you can do. How do you protect yourself from this if it happens to you? And that rhymed. I busted a rhyme. Okay, let's do it. So it turns out in the weeks preceding, the fuel cards didn't work sometimes. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't work. You'd have to call. There was a problem. Repairs were not being done to the trucks. It turns out they had a deal with Penske and Ryder to have them do the repairs on their trucks on the road, okay, some kind of contract. So drivers would take the trucks in. In fact, they talked to one driver. He took his truck into one of the shops, and normally he said it would take 15 minutes or so to get the repair approved. 5 hours later, they just didn't approve it. And so he actually ended up taking a lift home. That's what it said. And they never contacted him again. The truck is still at the shop. I guess there's 60 trucks or so at these shops that were just left there for repairs. And Falcon just never paid for repairs or authorized it. It's just really something. The easy passes didn't work a lot of times. And drivers were not being paid as well. So here's the thing about pay, all right? If the company has a good record of paying you, and then there's a pay problem, I'm okay with that as long as they agree to pay me the next week. But that next week, as soon as you're not paid or whatever, that's it, we're done. I will park until I get paid and on the spot com check. Look, you got to look out for you. There's any loyalty. I'm loyal to your company. Don't think that way, okay? You're just an employee. It is just a job. There isn't any loyalty, okay? This isn't the mob, all right? So it's just a job. You can get another one. You got this job. You're looking for a job. You can go get, they're all crappy jobs. So you can go get another crap job somewhere else. It's not like this is some kind of great place. It's the only place in the world to work. Don't ever think that. Don't ever let loyalty go ahead of you thinking for yourself, taking care of number one, which is you. It also turns out, guess what? People said, oh, what about insurance? They hadn't paid the insurance since March. A lot of these trucks were already driving on the road, no insurance. And there are reports, unsubstantiated, that they were taking the money from some of their owner-operators and not paying the insurance on them. Ooh, that's a crime. So we'll see where that goes. By the way, there's already been lawsuits for violation of the WARN Act. This company violated the WARN Act. Companies with over 100 employees are required to give 60 days notice. What will happen is they either have to give you notice or pay you for 60 days, one of the two. It doesn't make any difference. So they violated the WARN Act. There's been a lawsuit. Who knows where that goes or how long it takes. So what should you do if this happens to you when you're young at heart? No, seriously, look on the road. Here's the things that you can do. If a company's having problems getting fuel, paying you, all this stuff, okay, they have problems. So just because their books look good, remember Arrow, they were cooking the books over at that place. So don't think like, oh, the books look good, it doesn't make any difference. No, okay, no paying that, done. But always have access to at least $300 on a card in your pocket, doesn't matter how it is, $300 minimum all the time. Why $300? I'll tell you. I looked up the longest route, Seattle to Miami, on a Greyhound, okay, and the Crack Hound is $182 to walk up. I just checked it, to walk up and buy the ticket. So if you have $300, you can buy that ticket with tax and feed yourself on the trip down there. Is that going to be a great trip? No, but you won't be stuck wherever you are because you only have $5 to your name. Get $300 together. What should you do with the truck? This is what I would do. I would take the truck back to the location where my car is if I could. All your stuff's in it. I would do that. I understand a lot of people don't want to. You've been fired or the company's closed, so you don't have any obligation. I agree with that. You don't. So park the truck in a safe place, though. You can't, somebody said, I'll just pull off the highway and leave it. You can't do that, all right? That's unsafe. Don't do that. Go to a truck stop, park it. I would take a video of the truck, a complete video, walk around, including the freight, if there's no seal on it, and the paperwork, where you're leaving the keys. And I would take a picture of any message that might be on a Qualcomm or PeopleNet that I don't have with me to prove that you've been let go or whatever, and then walk away from it. I don't think there's any problem with that. The company, if they wanted the trucks back, should have made arrangements for that. So video it, then always have the Uber and Lyft app installed on your phone so that you can just turn on and get a ride from wherever you are, unless you're in the middle of podunk nowhere. Right, drive at least to where there's an Uber, park it, get an Uber to the bus, rent a car. That'd be the best way to do it. Rent a car, you know, and come back to the truck, clean all your stuff out of it, and go home. Because really, there's no further obligation to the company. They've let you go. There's no more point in doing anything with it. Don't break it up. You can't break the vehicle up and you know, leave the trailer and take the truck. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't use it as a personal car like that. I'd take the whole unit all together. Also, you can't sell anything off of the truck. There were a lot of reports, so I'm going to sell the bumpers and that. You can't do that. Can't sell the fuel. You're no better than them then, okay? That's being a thief. Can't sell the tires because you're owed money. That's not how it works in America. Don't do any of those things. You cannot park the truck at your house and demand storage. Why? You don't have an agreement with Falcon or whatever company closes that they pay you storage to store the truck at your house. Will it work out? Maybe. I think I remember at Arrow, they were paying the drivers a few $100s at some point to bring the trucks back. So could you get the money eventually? You could. If you keep the truck, though, you have at least a reasonable expectation of taking care of it. You can't just let it sit on your property where you bring it back to your property and you still have care, control, you know, of the vehicle, custody, care, and control of the vehicle, and then say, well, I just left it there and something happened to it. I don't think so. That's why I would just rather leave it somewhere and not worry about it. Don't look back, right? This is your past. You're doing all this for a few $100s you're going to get later. Don't worry about that, all right? Go make some money somewhere else. Also, always keep copies of your paychecks. If you get a paper check, always have some copies so that you can prove it, because it's likely you're not going to be able to prove right now that you worked at Falcon. If you don't have a check stub or something, I get paid by direct deposit, so I can access my pay stubs online. You should do the same type of thing, or at least have paychecks, some way, taxes, some way to prove that you worked somewhere. All right, so that's going to be very important for you to get your next job. You're going to need to be able to prove that. Companies understand that you know, this place went bankrupt, but you still need to, they haven't gone bankrupt yet. I shouldn't say that. I'll get in trouble, right? They haven't gone bankrupt, that they went out of business. So Counterpoint Capital Partners, brilliant. They bought them, you know, not that long ago. So that is the story of what to do and what is going on there. They are easily the crap company of the week. I mean, who could deny that? It's just ridiculous. Here's what I also think. There should be a bond, okay? A bond. I would like to see a bond. Every driver that a company has on the road, they'll have to post a bond equal to $500. All right, and so the bond is $500. If a company abruptly closes, the bond pays immediately. All drivers at the company that stay out overnight, over-the-road drivers, would get $500 comm check on the spot, and that would get you home from anywhere in the country, from wherever you were, you know, and that's what I think should happen. It should be the driver, over-the-road driver, Get You Home Responsibility Act. There's something where the letters will work out. I haven't worked the letters out to spell something very clever, but I'm not clever enough to figure that out. And that would pay out immediately. And, you know, so that drivers are not stranded all over the country. This is ridiculous. It should be criminal. Believe me, nothing will happen to anybody other than they might have to pay part of this WARN Act, Of course, corporate people like Counterpoint Capital Partners that buy this, suck the place dry, and then just leave it. Nothing will happen to them. We all know that. The only reason the guy at Arrow, Pinklestinker, whatever his name is, went to jail for 7.5 years or whatever, is because of the embezzlement and stuff like that. If you just leave the driver stranded, likely nothing will happen to them. It's so disappointing, all right? That's the story this week. Falcon Transport closed. And I have another video, which I'll link here up at the end here for you to watch about when it initially happened, but it's just crazy. And I'm sorry that happened to Falcon drivers. There are companies out there that are hiring like ShipX, that want good drivers. So you can go get a job, and more thanks to ShipX for offering food and transportation to drivers with no obligation. I really appreciate it personally, even though it didn't affect me. Thank you for being a great company out there, all right? We will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.